have had the pleasure to meet James at the Amun office here in NYC. I know James has years of experience in asset management and trading at ARK Invest. And for those who watch the news, this is the guy to interview when they need an opinion on, say, like Tesla stocks. But for our viewers who aren't familiar with the finance world on Wall Street, can you two tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Jason. It's great to partner with Bitmart on our first centralized listing launch. We've been working with you guys to launch DFI and PECO for quite some time now. So it's really great to see it finally come together. Yeah, I joined Amun about 6 months ago. Prior to that, I was working at ARK Invest, managing the internet and AI strategy. It's great to work with Kathy for over 6 years and seeing like how ETFs really changed the world. The original ETF that launched was the S&P 500 ETF in 1993. People didn't know if it was going to be a big deal at the time, and now more than decades later, the ETF industry has basically become the de facto way that people invest in the stock market because it's very easy, it's very diversified, and it's very cheap. I joined Amun because A, it has a great founding team, and B, the company has done a very successful job of launching crypto ETPs, which are basically just European versions of ETFs out of Zurich at 21 Shares, which is the ETP brand. We have ETPs that cover everything from Bitcoin, Ethereum, Stellar, and Algorand. It's a very exciting and very deep menu of products. And I head up the Amun division of the company, which is focused on purely launching DeFi native products, specifically tokens. And the core idea is exactly the same as what the ETF world has done to equities. It's to launch index token products. Crypto is a very complicated world today, and figuring out what to buy is just extremely confusing and scary. At least stocks and equities are regulated products. You're not going to just be rugged first day. There's a whole bunch of like regulatory and compliance work to make sure that these companies are legitimate entities. In crypto, of course, we all know anyone can launch a token in 10 minutes. So it's a very wild world out there. And we figured that index products are going to be every bit as important, if not more important, for crypto in the long run, which is why we're building index products, which are basically indexes of tokens so that you can buy one token to get exposure to 8, 10, a dozen plus tokens that will rebalance based on rules that will give you exposure to different sectors. The tokens we're talking about today, DFI focuses on the DeFi products native to Ethereum, and PECO focuses on the entire Polygon ecosystem, which has been hugely successful over the last year. So I'm very excited to be working and launching these two products with you guys. And yeah, looking forward to a great launch.
I'm Tyler. I've been in this space for about 5 years now. I'm the marketing manager at Amun. I really started with farming like everyone started and the whole CryptoKitties craze. And then Binance Smart Chain PancakeSwap came out, and then really involved in Polygon. I worked at QuickSwap. And then, like James said before, the team at Amun and just how the index products in the stock market took the stock market by storm. Crypto doesn't have that yet. There's a few products, but it could be done better. What better way to accelerate people to index products than actually working at the place? I think it's got the right team. And yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm also really excited about Bitmart because, as everyone knows, the Ethereum gas fees are just insane. So if you want to buy, for example, the 6 tokens or 8 tokens in DFI, you're paying hundreds of dollars in gas. But if it's listed on something like Bitmart, you can buy it with only the very, very small fee that Bitmart charges. There's no gas fees, and you can just hold it on Bitmart. Yeah, we're really excited about that.
Great. Okay, thanks for the intro, guys. The rules for the AMA haven't changed. Ask questions, and if your question is selected, went up to $40 worth of USDC each. We have 4 ways to participate. 2 on YouTube, 2 on Twitter. Please read the video description for details. Our first question for you guys, I think James sort of covered this a little bit, but he mentioned 21 shares. So what is and why was it created?
Sure. So we have 2 sister companies that work together to really help investors get access to crypto. 21 Shares is the company focused on kind of the regulated side of things and launch products in the form of exchange traded products. It's a very successful established company with over $2 billion in assets. It is really the leading provider of crypto ETPs in the world, I would say. And Amun is a company we spun up to really tackle the same idea and the same kind of goal of giving diversified access to crypto products, but purely on chain. So Amun is incorporated in the Seychelles. It uses purely DeFi mechanics. So everything that we offer on the Amun side, you hold the underlyings. And everything we built here is using smart contracts. Whereas you think of a traditional ETF issuer as mostly an asset allocation and kind of a structuring company, Amun is a full end-to-end engineering and marketing company. We have engineers, product managers, community and marketing folk, like all your favorite DeFi projects. And our goal is to really build in tokens that give people a single thing they can buy that gives them a diversified exposure to a bunch of underlying themes, and hopefully build the products that are most relevant at a given moment in time. We built DFI last year because the Ethereum was really the original like spring of ideas for DeFi, and some of those protocols today are more important than ever. And toward the end of last year, we built Polygon Ecosystem Index PECO, because the next phase post Ethereum, when gas fees became really expensive, was to move to other chains that had better scaling solutions and lower costs. Our goal is to stay ahead of the curve. And I think we can talk about some of our products in the future that we've already talked about publicly, but with DeFi moving so quickly, it's really hard to keep up. Our job is to make that easier for you through these index tokens.
So I guess we know what PECO and DFI tokens are, but can you tell us more about the tokenomics and utility behind them?
Sure. So index tokens do not have the kind of tokenomics mechanic of a new project launch where you start with 10 million tokens and you allocate them a certain way. Those kind of launches are just like the typical governance token launches. They're minting new value from thin air, if you will, hopefully accruing value from the future. Index tokens are backed by underlying assets. So in the case of DFI, it is 8 Ethereum DeFi tokens, roughly equal in that index. So this would be tokens like Chainlink, like Curve, Aave, like Uniswap, really the blue chips of Ethereum DeFi. And similarly, Polygon is backed by the core Matic token, as well as other key projects on Polygon like QuickSwap and CheatOut. The number of tokens is a free floating number, and it can be created through a mint process, which is basically you take the underlying tokens and you mint a index token like PECO or DeFi, and you can burn it if you wish to get the underlying. That would basically take tokens out of circulation. So you don't have to think about any of the things like inflation rate or token supply, or is the team dumping on you? None of those mechanics are existent in index tokens. When you buy it, it has a backed value, that's the net asset value. You could look to see how close it is to the NAV, but typically it's very close because our bots are constantly there arbing the value. And you can have confidence that so long as the underlying projects are doing well, the index token would do as well.
Great, great. Yeah, we're seeing a bunch of different tokens and projects getting launched just in the space, and Bitmart here is here to support that. We know that you guys are special, but if you could just highlight for our viewers what makes PECO and DFI different from thousands of other projects that are launched in this same space.
Yeah, I'll comment on that. So you go on Coinbase or crypto.com or pick your crypto app, you just get flooded with this coin's up, this coin's down, top movers, and your friends are asking, which coin should I buy? But 6 months later, that coin, they might say, sell that coin, but you're still holding it. Imagine if you could hold one token that adds and removes tokens based on like market cap, or the community, if it's bullish, it'll get added. Or if the developers stop developing, it gets removed. So you don't have to keep asking your friends, which coins do I buy? You know, should I sell the coin I bought? It's just something that you can just hold. And yeah, I guess that's really it. We try to make it simple.
Yeah, it's a really great point. Tyler and I, we're all very DeFi enthusiasts. We're buying coins all the time, but it is, even for those super deep in the weeds, it's just constant work, kind of tracking launches, tracking progress, reading the Telegram. And you can have coins. I've had coins go up 5x in my portfolio that then went back down to the initial entry price, because all that happened in the span of a week. And you just don't have time to manage it. crypto is extremely time intensive, and it's extremely hard to just suss out which projects are legit versus not. All of the tokens in our indexes are highly foundational pieces of the ecosystems they represent. And if you want your portfolio to be so that you can go on vacation for a month in Thailand or I don't know, Italy, and not have to look at it because who knows what happened to your project. If you want it to take care of itself, I think these are great products. Because if a project loses legitimacy, it will automatically get taken out. If a new project gains legitimacy, it will get added in, like Gains Network just got added to our PECO index. So these are products you can really actually just go to sleep and feel good about for the most part, because crypto is still obviously very volatile. Whereas I think if you buy a single new interesting project, you will be on the hook for the remainder of your time.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we're getting questions about whether you guys are getting into other like BSC, Solana ecosystems. And this is in line with our next question is if you could tell us about any upcoming tokens that are in the works.
Sure. We have announced 2 token categories that we're working on next. The next token we're launching is going to be targeting the Solana ecosystem because Solana is the really only legitimate alternative to Ethereum's core platform. By that I mean Ethereum virtual machine. Of course, there's AVAX. Of course, there's Polygon, but these are all based compatible with the Ethereum kind of virtual machine and code. Solana is just a fundamentally different software and a very different ecosystem, and arguably a different set of investors and backers. So very unique. And despite the difficulty of having not a proprietary, but a completely different software stack, it has attracted very loyal developers and a very loyal set of users. So Solana is extremely interesting. And we decided to build an indexed token for it that's launching next week. It is called SOLI, SOLI. You can find more on our Medium page, but in spirit, it's basically the same concept as our Polygon ecosystem index. It's the best projects on Solana in a single token. And we'll have more information and hopefully a launch on Bitmart in the near future as well. So that's the first one. The second one is our kind of next generation of tokens that we're still in the process of speccing out and building. And it will be based on what we call an index, which is, if you look at the blockchain ecosystem today, the key kind of question is which chain is going to win, specifically which base layer, L1 chain, is going to win. Will Ethereum take back the lead when it gets scaling benefits and the merge this year? Is Solana going to carve out its own ecosystem because of its extremely high scalability? Is Avalanche going to win because subnets are a great way to scale? It's just very difficult to answer. Even among professionals, there's no agreement on what is going to be the end state of all these blockchains fighting for block space. And L1 index or total blockchain index is just designed to answer the question of which chain should I bet on? Our answer is you shouldn't have to make a bet on one chain. You probably should have diversified exposure. So we've built an index of all the major tokens, each kind of blockchain, fundamental blockchain. So this will cover everything from Ethereum to Solana to AVAX to hopefully even up and coming chains like Phantom. And it will be the one token to rule them all. And in my mind, it solves the same problem as the S&P 500 index. If you want to bet on the US economy, you just buy the SPDR ETF. If you want to bet on blockchains, you can buy Amun's L1 index. So that's still in construction. We'd love to have your feedback via Telegram and Discord. We're still taking feedback and just ideas on how to organize this, because it is pretty technically interesting and also from a methodology perspective, lots of quirks to work through. But that's a product I'm very excited about.
That the credit for that question is going to apologize if I mispronounced that, TEJAS. And I guess going back to just PECO, what was the investment thesis behind it? And why did you decide to build it on the Polygon ecosystem?
I'll start and Tyler should chime in. Like for us, PECO was just was Ethereum needed to help with scaling, and Polygon was the natural ally to Ethereum for scaling. And it was just like that the adoption and the ease of use was unmatched for all the scaling options. So that's the starting point. But Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Polygon's like a natural companion to Ethereum. It's the same like user experience as Ethereum, just way less gas fees. Even things like OpenSea are integrated with Polygon. And also discussions with the Polygon Foundation, they've been really helpful in sharing our products and even like helping seed liquidity. They were just great to work with. And the DEX has worked with PECO. Also, the projects there are more or less stable than other chains. There's like a kind of the DEX to go to, or like the stablecoin platform kind of thing. Whereas these up and coming like Phantom and Chronos, there's so many AMMs battling for the lead. And if we build a product around that, yeah, it just get messy. It's good. It's already been established for a few months before we created PECO.
Gotcha. And I guess next question would be, James mentioned if I were interested in the US or want to bet on the US stock market overall, I would just get into S&P 500. But who are you guys targeting? And if I don't know investing, I'm a crypto noob, what are index tokens and why should people be interested in them?
If you're watching this, you're probably already a believer in crypto. You don't need to be converted. But you may want to invest in an ecosystem but not have enough information or the time to do all the due diligence. So for example, I may want to invest in Brazil as an idea, but I'm not going to research Brazilian rubber and pharmaceutical companies. It's just too much. Just give me the Brazil index product, right? That's the level of, I think lots of people are at that level. They know which direction they want to go to, but they don't like getting into the weeds of every project is just too much for them. So in my view, like these are great products to get like thematic level exposure into whichever chain or whichever set of tokens, whether it's DeFi or Polygon that you're interested in, without having to do all the work and hawk over kind of your positions day to day.
And I think that's the beauty with our products is it's for people just starting out, or it's even for large investors. It's automated. For example, James talked about our L1 index. If you're bullish on blockchain and you think blockchain's going to be more integrated in lives, if you're just starting out, you can hold that token, or even these very large hedge funds can hold it, and it's acceptable for both.
Tyler, didn't we have a DAO even want to hold these tokens?
Yeah, there's one on Polygon that holds PECO. I don't know if we want to name
it. Right?
Yeah, okay, best. Yeah, because they came to us and they said, we want overall exposure to the Polygon ecosystem because they built on Polygon. They don't want to like just hold Matic. And they also don't want to day-to-day have their treasury vote on things to get added or removed. We do the work to decide. It's not we, it's programmatically defined and what gets added and removed. But PECO decides what gets added and removed like for them. So they are comfortable with their treasury, knowing they have exposure to Polygon by just holding the one token.
And James talked about you guys are still taking feedback on Telegram, and just what are some of the hurdles and challenges you guys have faced while building these tokens?
I think for the most part, the initial ones were fairly straightforward. Probably some of the hurdles were just finding liquidity. Like we want to include as many projects as possible. Polygon is very deep and there are many projects there. We'd love to include more. But for index tokens, it has to have enough liquidity, since when we buy it, we're not buying it from the project, we're buying it off just DEXs. DEX liquidity is important for us to be able to build these products. And yeah, I think that's one of the main ones. And we also want to make our tokens available on more than one chain. So when we built PECO, we also bridged it over to Ethereum, so people on Ethereum can buy it natively. So building bridging technology has been a very interesting technical hurdle. And we hope to improve that process going forward as well.
Yeah, I think just your backgrounds and the people behind this project are really strong selling points for these tokens. I think you guys have partners, so if you could tell us about who they are and your expansion strategy.
Yeah, our expansion strategy is really around building, I think, the L1 index. I think that's the product that will really have mass appeal. Lots of people are busily rotating between different L1 tokens, hoping to cash the next one. We actually have 2 L1 token ideas that's being worked on. One is the kind of just a very broad, like total L1, total blockchain index. And the other one is more of a kind of growth one index designed to find the next gems in in L1 blockchains. So for example, like last year, the strongest kind of like move you could have made was to buy Ethereum in Q1, buy Solana in Q2, and buy AVAX in Q3. Like if you could have nailed the rotations, you would have 100x your money. But it's super hard to like nail each rotation because who knows? There's no way to predict the future, but like thematically, each chain reaches an inflection point of adoption and apps launch and so on. So we wanted to build a product that can find the next, hopefully the next 10x, like thematically be in that right direction. So the growth L1 index, the second kind of product idea we have, is really to look for a smaller market cap that have growth in total value locked, TVL, which is a kind of the core fundamental metric for DeFi. And in our back testing, this has been super promising. It's greatly outperforms an index that's just based on market cap or just based on total selection. So that I think is a very exciting product and could be great for people looking to do the rotations or take advantage of the upcoming blockchain ideas without having to read every white paper.
Yeah, you've mentioned that buying crypto in general are really time intensive. But what if I just have like a lot of time, and if I were to, instead of buying your tokens, or why should I buy your token if I could just copy your allocation instead of trying to do all that rebalancing myself?
You could do that. We're not going to stop you. And I'm sure if you spend 10x the time, you would be able to hopefully find, better opportunities out there. Yeah, definitely. We're not trying to say that these would be better than an elite crypto trader and someone who's just like sleeps in Discord every night. But I think even for us, that gets tiring after a while. And if you want to go on vacation, you want to go on vacation. Like I was on vacation in Australia last month and I wanted to just spend time with my family. I didn't want to go on the Discord in the middle of a car ride to see when a token launch. It's just, there's a time and place for everything. And for someone like who's adventurous, you could easily put part of your portfolio allocation to an index token like us, and then take another portion to really degen and go hard. I think like there are different ways of using these products.
Yeah, and one thing too to comment on with the copy trading fees and gas are really, especially gas on Ethereum. If you try to copy DFI, you need to have at least tens of thousands, probably over 100,000 to make up for the gas fee that Amun actually pays for on the rebalance. So that's the major thing.
Absolutely. And just what can we expect for the rest of 2022? The year has just started. What's on the road?
SOLI next week. Really excited about that. And then, like James mentioned, the L1 index is definitely going to be our biggest product. So we're going to try to push that everywhere. It's never been done before. It's very challenging to do, but it's definitely possible to do, and we're going to do it.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll start taking questions from our second question, actually, from our audience from Sports School. What standards have you set before selecting tokens for adding them into your index product? And also, if you have any plans to add particular segment index products like Metaverse, GameFi, and meme coins. So your token selection process, and if you would break into segments.
Sure. On token selection process, we are looking at projects that have been live in production for at least 2 to 3 months. So these are not going to be like day one launches. We want to eliminate those kind of scenarios where, new projects, not super reputable developers, and all the rug scenarios. Overall, though, these are market cap driven indexes. So we'll be selecting for the ones that's like in the top 5 to 10 in terms of market cap. So these would naturally be quite established and larger players. We'll rebalance these monthly. Any tokens, any projects that come up with established product market fit, we will include as well. We have subjective criteria that make sure these thematically align. So on the DFI token, it is on projects on Ethereum native and projects that are focused on DeFi. And we use CoinGecko as the kind of non-biased data source for that. On Polygon, we did describe the methodology specifically as projects native to Polygon rather than projects that, is also simply available on Polygon. So stuff like Sushi, Balancer, great projects available on Polygon, but that's just one part of their deployment and not like the core strategy of their deployment. I would say generally our selection strategy is around size, both market cap and liquidity, maturity of project in terms of it having launched for X number of months, being aligned natively to the core theme of that product, whether it's Polygon or DeFi. On the do we tackle specific themes? I think it is a very interesting idea. There are a lot of theme ideas right now, and we're definitely looking into it. Like Metaverse Index is stuff that has been tried a few times. So we will definitely look into those. We don't want to just launch a product that already exists. Metaverse Index, there's a couple of versions of that already. I don't think we'll add much value to maybe launch another version of that, but we want to launch new ideas that's relevant for people and aligned to what is going to take off currently or about to next. I won't say much more about that. Obviously, we believe L1 is like an evergreen idea. That's why we're building that. But yeah, we are definitely open to thematic ideas. If you have any ideas, please come to our Discord or Telegram and chat with us. We'd love to hear from folks. We actually are willing and open in the process of building things, building indexes in collaboration with the community, and even happy to share a piece of the economics. So if you are a great methodologist, come on, chat to us.
Yeah. I'll definitely get those Discord links and Telegram links from these guys and then put in the video description below later. Our next question is from Buddy. Said he checked your website and current indexes has experienced a bit of a decrease in price. So what's your strategy to make it, in his words, so that the indexes are more effective price-wise, especially in a bear market?
Yeah, that's one thing with even like the S&P 500 index. If there's a drawdown in the market, it's going to go down. No one can sit here and promise that the indexes are going to go up forever. But if you look at like our index compared to, I'm not going to name any tokens, but there's some tokens that have been hit like very heavily. So if you were invested in that rather than an index, you'd be down even more. It's just smooth out the curve is what the indexes are for.
And our next question from Father Elijah: how does the L1 growth index aims to capture the growth of layer ones using the daily change in total value locked? That's just a correlation of
that's something we're looking at. So James mentioned there's two different versions, and I don't want to get into them too much, but we can look at like market cap of these chains of the head token like Ethereum and Polygon, but you can also look at TVL of them, liquidity locked in these stablecoin platforms or AMMs. You can take a combination of them to determine the weighting in the index. Of course, there's many different ways to do it, but that's why we have a data team that looks at that and see historically what's been the best performance. We can play it that way.
Back testing, like we've seen that if you measure change in TVL growth, that is predictive of kind of asset token price appreciation down the track. It's pretty intuitive, basically. As more money flows into that chain, more demand is generated for the base token, since you need the base token to trade on that chain. So that's the primary heuristic around that.
And I know your current company is like the largest ETP issuer. We have our last question from our audience. What do you guys think about the BTC ETF system, really?
Oh, yeah. I think generally it's inevitable that there will be structured products that help people get access to crypto because the demand is so clear now. In the US, we have this thing called GBTC, which is like this indirect way of getting access to Bitcoin. It wasn't very efficient. And now, of course, there are futures-based ETF products in the market. I think generally this is the direction that things will be going. How the SEC progresses from here is up to anyone's guess. But like globally, like in Switzerland, regulators are very open to issuing like fundamentally backed non-futures based products. And I think this really speaks to the appetite. And yeah, I think we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, definitely. I saw 2 days ago, Arizona made Bitcoin legal tender. I have no idea what that means, but I know what it means, but I don't know how one state can do it. But if you think about like on a long-term scale, every year more countries adopt it, regulations get more healthy. It's going to happen eventually. maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but for sure.
Yeah, definitely a good direction to be moving. That credit to that for that question goes to Ravindu. That's all the questions we can take today. One overall general questions that a lot of times we get is that how you guys address the non-crypto crowd, but I think Amun, how it position, like value proposition wise, it's just great for if you're investing in traditional finance and you want to get into crypto, instead of doing like a bunch of research on the different cryptos that you should be investing, you could just hold on to one of their index tokens and then you're greatly diversified. So read up on Amun at amun.com. PECO and DFI tokens will be available on Bitmart on February 4th, this Friday, and February 11th, the Friday after. If you're new to crypto and don't know where to start, or just want to diversify your investments, look no further. And DFI and then SOLI next week, you said? Yeah, thanks for coming on, and thanks everyone for participating.
Thanks so much, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.